Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. And the name of today's podcast is Are You Getting the Most Out of Every Moment? I think most of us wake up in the morning wanting to get the most out of the day, wanting to get the most out of the moment. And a lot of times what keeps us present is when we have a deep appreciation for the moment that we're in, that we're remembering the importance and the beauty and the depth of what we're experiencing in the moment. It's life happening. It's the exciting, juicy part of why we're alive. Often what takes us away from appreciating the moment is actually our expectations of what we thought the moment would be. Expectations of what we thought the day would be or what our life would look like. And sometimes these expectations are about how we expect to be treated at work, how we expect to be treated in all our relationships, how we expect the day to go. And sometimes these expectations come from our desire to be treated a certain way. And sometimes they come from stories we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel safe, like this needs to happen for me to be okay. But whatever our reason, anytime the moment arrives, and we are not able to accept it and appreciate it on some level, we don't get to experience the depth of it, the beauty of it, or even the difficulty of it. Whatever it is, we lose that presence because we're just resisting what's happening. A very easy example of this happened to me the other night. I was out for dinner with a friend of mine, and it was a beautiful night out. And we were eating outdoors in a restaurant. We were having wine, and my friend and I were sharing a couple of different dishes at the restaurant. And I had asked the waiter about a particular dish. He described it to me. And when it got to the table, it was nothing like he described. And there was a part of me that was thinking, oh, I expected this to be different. Now, someone might think, oh, well, you have a right. You're at a restaurant. You have a right to expect what you ordered is good enough for your standard, that what you ordered is what you thought you were getting. But in that moment, my friend looked super happy with the dish. She wanted to dig in. So what was I going to do in that moment? Was I going to let my expectation pull me out of this wonderful moment I was having with my friend? She was happy. She was ready to share it. Was I going to send it back to the kitchen and make this whole thing of talking to the waiter and sending it back and having all this conflict? And believe it or not, this was running through my mind very quickly. And instead, I chose acceptance and appreciation. And my friend started to share the plates, and I ate the food in front of me, and it was fine. It wasn't exactly what I had wanted, but being with my friend was so wonderful. And the glass of wine was so wonderful, and the weather was so wonderful. That level of appreciation was so deep in me. That's the experience I had, and that's what I remember. And if you ask me in this moment what that shrimp dish tastes like, I don't even remember, because I chose to be thankful and appreciate what was in front of me. And I get it. Sometimes you have to send things back. Sometimes you're not respected. Sometimes there are moments that we have no choice to have that conflict. But there are so many moments that we give up the pleasure of life for the expectation of how it was supposed to be. And that's the battle. And so we're always weighing out the experience that's going to take center stage. Is it going to be the appreciation for what is? Or is the lack or what we're not getting going to take us away, and we're going to end up being disappointed? And we forget that life is really just a string of moments. Yes, some things feel bigger and more impactful, but the truth is every single moment is its own experience. And sometimes we're in such a rush and such a hurry to make life the way we expect it to be that we miss life as it's happening. The walk, the cup of coffee, the hug, the friend, the sun, the flowers, the laugh, the great project, the things we're working on, our dreams, whatever this moment is giving us. It's through that appreciation that there's more light in our life every day. So what can we do? How can we appreciate the life that we're in when we're disappointed, when we're hurt, when things don't go as we expect? And the most important thing we can do is have an awareness of when it's happening, just like what happened at the dinner. Even though it was a very simple example, I felt my disappointment. I had this urge to call the waiter over. I had this urge to reorder. And then all of a sudden I saw how the moment I was in was calling me. I saw the joy of the conversation, the joy of the glass of wine, the joy of the weather, the joy of the friendship. And I let that take center stage. And it put it all in perspective. It wasn't such a great expectation that it would take over my appreciation. So it's really about catching ourselves and seeing what's happening. And another great practice, to be aware of when pleasant moments happen and to deeply appreciate them and to understand what that feels like. So these could be moments where nothing's bothering you, but to remember throughout the day, to capture that. It's like making a deposit into your life, into remembering the beauty. And it really puts you in a different perspective. And maybe you'll hold it or maybe you won't. But then you're going to start to see what it's like to be more present and to have a deep appreciation for what's happening. And I know I've talked about this before. Some people keep gratitude journals in the morning and the evening. That kind of sets them up to have deeper appreciation during the day. Sometimes people wear rings or bracelets or do things that always brings them back and says, wait a second, where am I? What is this moment giving me? Some people can catch themselves with a mantra if they're starting to feel a little negative. Sometimes I like to say, I didn't expect this, but I accept this. Maybe I could still find my way. Maybe this can get better. Maybe there's something else for me to experience in this moment. And sometimes that brings me back. And we have to decide what we can accept instead of expect. Let's not get so overwhelmed with everything we thought was going to be different and forget everything that's beautiful and exciting and sacred and really just gorgeous. Just being alive every day. There's a beauty to that. But we just keep running these stories of how life needs to be for us to be happy and for us to be okay. We are the holder of our expectations. We forget that. We think that life is going against us because we thought it was going to be a certain way, but we don't realize that life is going to do what life does and things are going to unfold the way that they do. And we are the holder of the story. We are the holder of the story of how we believe life should be, how we should be treated, how other people should act, what we should receive, and what should happen next. We hold that story. And the more we could recognize that, we could accept life more for the way it is. And it's not that we're not going to try to change it. It's not that we're not going to try to make life better. This is not about that. It's more about accepting the moment for what it is and appreciating as much as you can to feel the depth and the joy that is in front of you. And when there are things in your life that you don't like, instead of writing stories of how it should be or the expectation of what should have happened or what you deserve, start working on the life that you want. Speak up for yourself. Try to change things. But don't discard the beauty of the moment, because that is yours to live and experience. And it is also a platform. When we could find the joy, when we could find the hope, we have something to stand on to make the world a better place, to create better relationships in our lives, and try to improve the things that we're not happy about in our lives. But don't be in such a hurry, because there is beauty in front of you right now. There is so much to appreciate right now, even if it did not meet your expectations. Life is for the living. And when we appreciate each moment for what it is, we find more joy in living. And then we end up creating more. Our expectations limit us. They make us think that things are not possible. They make us think that the moment's wrong. When for all we know, everything in life is going our way. Or for all we know, there's something in this moment to experience. And for all we know, maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my books, The Gift of Maybe or Year Without Men, they're available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you could subscribe and leave a comment.